Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Fanimail, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello, and welcome to The Speaking Tree, a Dork-Bajir podcast where we read through the Animorphs series one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today we'll be taking a deeper dive into Animorphs number 29, The Sickness, the book we read last week. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Bray.
Oh, I get it. He's got the sickness.
Oh god, guys. I just puked up a whole baby. What the fuck?
Well, it's because you keep eating babies without chewing them properly, Brayden. Come on. It's the same problem my cat has.
At least this was like a newbie-related thing, because it's been a while since we've had a newbie metaphor.
They've all been newbie metaphors. Maybe you just didn't understand it.
Well, that's fair. Weird flex, but okay.
In that case, Mikhail was the one who was like a little baby. He did not get it.
Oh, I do get it. Let's start off with some
Fanimail! Ooh, yeah! Fanimail! Ooh, yeah!
So, the first piece of Fanimail comes from user Red-Tailed-Hawk06 on Reddit. And they messaged our account, which is you, Dork-Bajir, on Reddit, and said, quote, "Your question was, how did Elfangor manage to acquire so many guys in order to create one to morph? My answer, glory holes." This is a reference to when we did Analyte Chronicles Part 3, I think?
Yes, almost definitely. I don't know when else it would have come up.
Yeah. Axe very clearly did not go into a building full of little holes.
Right. We had said whether or not Lauren chose the guys for Elfangor to mush up their DNA.
Yeah, like,
Remember?
that dude. Go blow that dude.
And like, okay, have they covered in the Animorphs? Can you acquire DNA that is dead?
Okay, the next piece of Fanimail. This is from @Vilosum, or Vilosum, I guess. Where this was from a while ago now, but anyways, he bragged about being on our show whilst on a date and claims that she left immediately after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to our first segment, which is Animorphs ER.
Animorphs ER!
In this segment, we diagnose an issue in the book and try to find a more creative and effective solution. This week, we chose to tackle how would you extract a single Yeerk from the Yeerk Pool, the Yeerk Pool that the Animorphs like infiltrate all the time, if you had to act on your own, like Cassie did in book 29. Here are the caveats. The Yeerk is in a cage, like it was in book 29. You have access to a Yeerk morph, like Cassie did. You have a host willing to take you to let you take control of them, also like Cassie. Here's something they didn't really describe specifically, but we'll just add it as a constraint. You must do the whole thing in under 1 hour, but you have 24 hours to prepare.
And as we know from Batman, preparation is all you need to win.
Exactly.
You can't kill any hosts, whether they are voluntary or not. The no morphing people is always a rule in the Animorphs ER. All right. What do you guys think?
Okay.
What makes more sense? We got to come to a consensus. That's the point of this segment.
Like, I like the whole intro where they, like, how Cassie did it to get into it is the best way to bypass the Gleep biofilter. And if you can't find a voluntary host, then maybe using one of the chi. And like, oh yeah, Eric, can you wrap me up in the little brain of, like, your little brain cage and cavort me in? Because that's what you did with your own Yeerk to get into the Yeerk Pool.
Mm-hmm. But then, what would they do? What would they do with Eric's Yeerk while you're out chilling? Like, can Yeerks survive outside of a head or the pool?
As we know from book 10, Eric's Yeerk is wrapped up in a little cage in Eric's android brain, and he's zapping it with his own made Kandrona rays. And ever since that Yeerk entered Eric's head the first time, it's never left.
Interesting.
That's true. Also, we know from book 29 that Yeerks can live in like a
Not
bag
for
of
very
water,
long,
remember?
but yeah, like they can. And we have seen Yeerks. I mean, we don't know for how long. We just know that they need Kandrona rays
Less than
every 3 days.
It has to be more than 2 hours, though, right? Because of Cassie. Well, I guess not
We
necessarily.
know that they can survive for at least a little bit of time outside in like completely dry land also, because we've seen a lot of instances of Yeerks just bailing and then crawling around looking like slugs. And if they look like slugs, I mean, slugs don't have to be always wet, right? So
I thought they dried out pretty easy.
I mean, they can if they're underneath a big sun, but they don't have to be always in the water like a fish. Like a fish do.
Like a fish
right?
do.
Yeerks don't
Like the fish do in the water.
Yeerks don't be how the fish do.
After our last episode of the Speaking Tree, well, our first episode 2 weeks ago, I kind of started thinking about how we gotta like decide on some rules as to how to not just break this. Because unfortunately, the fiction is not perfect. Like, because the answer to the entire Animorphs question of like the Yeerk War is just let the Chi reprogram themselves and kill the Yeerks. And this is like the reason I'm using that as an example is because that's actually the answer to every single Animorphs ER thing ever.
Let someone else deal with it. Like the Chi. So yeah, okay, so
well,
like,
let someone else who's like infinitely more powerful than we are. So we have to kind of decide as a group here, like, should we set a limit of how many times we can use the Chi every how many episodes? Or should we just say, like, we can only use the Chi if it's, like, some specific thing they've already said that they're doing?
if the kids use the Chi in the book, then we can use the Chi in the Animorphs ER based on the book. How about that?
I like that.
Yes,
So
I enjoy that.
Chi are off limits unless
Unless it's already been set up. Because I feel like Animorphs ER is kind of like, okay, Cassie's living her whole life and then pause right when she enters, in this case, Tidwell's house and acquires the Yeerk morph. And then we hijack Cassie's brain, being John Malkovich style, and like get to control her
Right.
for an hour.
What the hell were we talking about?
Okay, I think Cassie's way of sneaking in is the best. Use the voluntary host to bypass the Gleep biofilter. Get dumped under the Yeerk Pool, like in the book. You can demorph under the pier, because there's, a little dock that sticks out, so you can demorph under there. And then I see, okay, so there's a Yeerk in a cage. Okay, so Cassie had the Ziploc bag in her pocket. So what you do is you can drop the Ziploc bag, roll careful as you go to disembark from the host. At the end of the pier, you drop a Ziploc bag into the pool. It kind of floats on top. You demorph, you grab the Yeerk out of the cage, put it in the Ziploc bag, and then put it back like hiding on the pier. And then when you infest your host, you just make sure you kind of stumble. Oh no, my arm's in the pool. Oh no. And you pick up the Ziploc bag and stuff it up your sleeve.
It does make me wonder, like, because I also thought, like, yeah, like you're going to need to do something while in your host to sort of set up the extraction before you leave the host. But it also makes me wonder, like, how good is Cassie really at that? Because we all kind of know she's pretty bad at deception. I wonder if she could just leave instructions with the host to like struggle after she leaves. Presumably, I mean, as long as he's not a voluntary host, which we know in this case they wouldn't be.
In this case, it's a voluntary host, yeah. So you can talk, like, as we know from book 6, the Yeerk and Jake talked in the head a bit. So as you're going there, you can make this plan to be like, okay, so once I'm gone, struggle a bit, and then like drop this bag.
Well, it's not a voluntary host. They're supposed to appear involuntary, right? That's the whole point. A voluntary host would just go watch TV and eat Cheez-Its, right?
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, that doesn't matter. That's just semantics. So you don't want to be a host is the way you're supposed to be acting. And then you like flail around and maybe like near the edge and then maybe like drop a Ziploc bag in that way. Because they did kind of say that the surface of the Yeerk Pool is quote unquote roiling with Yeerks. Yeah, so maybe it wouldn't be super obvious, or you could maybe like toss it under the pier somehow.
Or even like if you dropped it right when you were stepping onto the pier, so it's right near the edge of the land and the sea. It's right on the beach. Or
well,
something.
it would have to be while you're moving away from the edge of the... Well, no, I guess it could be right as the Yeerk leaves your ear. You could have it in your hand, lean down with your 2 hands on the edge of the pier.
That would take some sleight of hand, though. What if you got spotted?
I mean, like I'm saying, crumple up the Ziploc bag in your hand. Then when you lean down on the pier and to put your ear down, like the Yeerk comes out and you just start like freaking out for as distraction and sort of unfurl your hand and hopefully the Ziploc bag. Like, I mean, obviously all of this relies on some element of chance, but I mean...
Yeah, we're not going to get a 100% foolproof. I feel like this is a good plan, though. Even, like, you don't have to make as much of a struggle, even. Like, at the, like, as you get up, like, your host doesn't have to make as much of a struggle as you disembark, because who's going to be watching your hands? Like, the Dork-Bajir controllers that are at the pier, they've been doing this for at least over, like, a couple of years, we have to assume, by this point. Like... This is normal. There's no like sign of the Andalite bandits. So
you gotta imagine they're pretty low tier Dork-Bajir doing this too, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
Fucking George, the pool attendant.
This is like my first Dork-Bajir job.
Exactly.
Like, these are not going to be the guys who have ever faced battle before.
Hey, Pockland 824. Somebody took a shit in the Yeerk Pool. Go take care of it. Who took a shit in the Yeerk Pool and why? We don't shit. Yeah, I did in my host body, so you would have to clean it up, nerd.
He has literal glasses. That would be hilarious. Sorry. Okay, so we got the Ziploc bag in the pool. Then, so does that mean that Cassie has to demorph?
You definitely have to demorph in the pool just to free the Yeerk with your strong human fingers. Otherwise, why didn't the Yeerk get out of the cage?
Right? I totally agree. My question is, do we even need the Ziploc bag?
Oh.
Didn't Aftran... what happened in the book again? I think Cassie let Aftran into her head.
Nope, Cassie morphed a bird, and Aftran slid in between her bird feet.
Because, okay, so here's the thing, like, would it really be so bad for Aftran to be inside Cassie's head, which she's already been and proven?
This is true, yeah. So, like, that would have been way safer, is if Cassie let herself get infested, and then remorphed the Yeerk.
It's safer in a way, and also, like, an insane gamble in another way, because, like, A, what if Aftran, like, got turned already from being captured? B, what if Aftran is not Aftran and just a bait Yeerk?
That's just a bait, yeah. I don't know if Aftran turning is, like... I mean, Cassie already let Aftran into her head when Aftran was still, like, hadn't proven herself to be trustworthy. Yeah. Whereas now, it's like, okay, she hasn't been infesting anybody for a while. She's kind of, Cassie's going there to save her, because she's being a good Yeerk. The only thing would be, it's a bait Yeerk, which would be an incredibly intelligent trap. I don't know if Visser 3 is capable for that, because there's no holograms involved.
That's another really good point.
Touch the Yeerk. Is it solid? Then it's probably not a trap.
I mean, okay. I agree. It also just seems like if we know Cassie can get out with carrying the Yeerk in some fashion, maybe we should stick with that plan. I like the Ziploc a lot better just because it's like, well,
I feel like the Ziploc, because then, so, like, Cassie's plan of morphing the bird and then telling Aftran to get in between her talons, I mean, you could have been picking up any old Yeerk. She even says in the book, I hope it was Aftran and not a different Yeerk. And then people are shooting at this bird. Oh no, we've seen this bird before. And then she has to poop expertly onto the Gleet biofilter. It's just like
Dingus 9843, and he's just like, "Wow, what's this?" He like slides in between her talons, and it's just she's carrying this guy out, talking to it, and he's flying through the air, and she's like, "Aftran, we're almost out." He's like, "What the fuck is going on?
Just like, the fuck is happening?" Baby's first airplane ride, and then like she puts Aftran into Axe's head to help with the thing, and then all of a sudden she's got a second Andalite controller. Who's like, and it's like that bit in Megamind where the cameraman gets superhero powers and turns into a huge asshole.
I hear it's quite good.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, so
also, okay, I have to amend what I said before. It wasn't the Gleet biofilter that she pooped on. It was one of the their, I forget the title. I think a hunter robot is what they call them. But the Gleet biofilters are only by the door.
She does it to the sensor on top of the the hunter robot.
Its little robot eye. Which I always pictured them as like flying little webcams that shot laser beams.
I've been imagining them as like just stuck on a wall. They're essentially like
I think they can fly
orbs.
though, can't they?
I'm pretty sure they fly, because I think in book 17 they were chasing the bats around.
I thought that was an entirely different thing. I thought that was like some sort of security drone that may or may not have just appeared in that one thing.
No, I think that's the hunter bot. I think that's the security drone is the hunter bot.
I don't know.
This is riveting.
Let's assume that they are flying and that she did get like an incredibly good thing or good shot with the poop. But also, I don't think it changes the plan as much, because my idea had hinged pretty heavily on her letting Aftran into her head and then morphing the Yeerk again, going back into what's his face? What's his Tidwell, right. Going back into Tidwell's head, and then basically a Yeerk within a Yeerk, which you gotta wonder who's controlling who at that point.
I feel like it would be Aftran still controlling, which would be really freaky. But then, like, can Cassie talk to Tidwell? As, I don't know if she could. Like, Aftran could talk to Cassie, because Aftran has infested Cassie, and then when Aftran makes Cassie morph a Yeerk and then infests Tidwell, I don't know if Cassie could talk to Tidwell. It might just be Aftran, which would be pretty fucked up.
That's a good point. I don't know how exactly that would work, but I think a lot of that is just...
I think that is a good plan, though.
It's moot, though, because the risk of it not being Aftran is too high. Right, because even if you get out and it's not Aftran, you accidentally picked up another Yeerk, or if Aftran got shot out of the air and like Axe dies, at least everyone else is okay and the secret's safe.
You don't want to get yourself infested with a different. Okay, so but I don't like the how she flew out of the Yeerk pool as a bird.
No, it's
like
garbage.
let's go back to the plastic bag one. Okay. So you have a plastic bag, you've deposited it on the surface of the Yeerk pool. It's not really going to be noticeable because you got one of the shitty dollar store ones that doesn't have like colored tabs to pull open. And so you morph human under the pier, bust open the cage, and then just put the caged Yeerk into the bag immediately so you don't lose her. Tie it up, and then kind of float it by the edge of the pier, and then just like sneak it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. How do you sneak it up?
Okay, what if you get infested and then you go and turn and walk away from the pier, and then right where the pier hits the land, you trip. Oh no, stumble. My shoes are so clunky. Hand kind of in the pool. And that's where the bag is it's hiding underneath the pier over towards where the land is.
So Brayden has a note here in the suggestions part that says,
yeah, we do.
I'm having trouble not thinking of anything having to do with a bomb or oatmeal. Now, which I initially took as a joke, but reaching this point, which I do think is the point that we would reach in our best solution, there's just no fucking way to guarantee you're going to grab this bag out full of Yeerk liquid and a Yeerk. So Brayden... what do you think the best like distraction at this moment is? Because I was thinking like, oh no, the bag of oatmeal my host had in his pocket fell into the pool.
Well, no, because then I feel like you would be in trouble if you let your host have a bag of oatmeal because you know that shit is poison.
I think the best distraction would probably be Axe in this case, because Visor 3 will do literally anything to get his hands on an Andalite, especially one that looks like an Andalite right then and there. He would dedicate any and all of his resources, literally every single man on the floor, to going to kill and get Axe, to the point of detrimenting the overall security. That would be the best way to do it.
So are you saying morph Axe? Because Axe can't be there with our constraints, right?
No, because it has to be a distraction. It has to be you can't morph Axe and then still have time to morph back to a human and then something small to lose the Dork-Bajir. That's just unrealistic. Okay. I'd say probably the best option then is so if you get a little bit of fertilizer and some gasoline, you mix those up in really any old like tube or pipe or something like that, and put a wick in, You can just light that thing on the end, make sure to oil it so it doesn't, so it's not easy to go out. Short fuse, underhand toss, wherever the hell you want it to be. And that thing will go off just fire and fury, like a huge a pretty large concussion as well. And yeah, I mean, you can probably even but here's the thing, it's still like a relatively small explosion, so you could definitely space it out so like you didn't kill anybody, just like burns and deafening and a lot of broken limbs.
Okay, what if your host had plastic bag in the one pocket, bomb in the other pocket, maybe the fertilizer one that Brayden just suggested, or some other smaller thing that just like let off a noise like an alarm, and then as the Yeerk was in the Yeerk pool and they got led to the cages, because all hosts are led to cages, even the voluntary ones. You had your host hide it somewhere in the back wall of one of the cages. So, oh no, the hosts are breaking free. What's happening? Guards are worrying and going there. That's when you trip and fall and pick up the Ziploc bag.
Having Tidwell full on launch the pipe bomb is too suspicious, because then they would just like hunter robots kill that guy instantly.
Oh yeah, they would be like, oh, this is a rebel.
But we didn't kill him, so that doesn't count.
No Yeerk would let their host bring a bomb into the pool for a feeding, right? So none of the Dork-Bajir are suspecting that the hosts are carrying IEDs.
They're not screening. This is not a high school, y'all. They're not screening kids for like weapons as they enter the Yeerk pool.
Yeah, this is a Yeerk pool, not a high school where people bring guns and bombs. Fuck, I hate.
Okay, what's better? All right, it's not like they're going through the airport where they have to make the host take off their shoes. Like, they assume everyone coming in is on their side.
Yeah, so I think a timed bomb, some kind of timed bomb, no shrapnel, just noise. I think that is probably the best idea. And then you could, like, I don't know, fall, trip, pretend to hide something in the noise, the ensuing noise and distraction, and then grab the Yeerk.
I think so. I think something timed is best, because then you're far away from the explosion and anything that's happened, so you're obviously not involved.
You could even use like any old bomb, as long as like your sparking device was, you could just put like a sparking device on just like a shitty old clock.
Yeah, like a Casio watch, like just a shitty watch that after the timer runs out, it delivers a circuit. It closes a circuit somehow, right? I'm assuming that's not that hard to do.
Almost, not incredibly hard, just dangerous up to a point.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually really true. Like, building a bomb, I don't know, is that too far?
No.
For something that could be done in 24 hours?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I know physically it could. It's just learning how to do it without getting hurt. Can you do that in 24 hours?
Okay, what if it's not a bomb? What if you just, like, one day shipping buy some super annoying alarm off of Amazon?
All you have is one day, though.
You have 24 hours. So you do it in the morning of, like, the Wednesday, and you're infiltrating on Thursday. So it is delivered to you the Thursday morning.
That is optimistic. That is very optimistic. I mean, you could just go buy an alarm clock.
Or you can also just go buy something, right?
Okay, I think the distraction in the cage area does make a lot of sense, and it will make falling on the pier to pick up the Ziploc like a lot more realistic for just the average dude to do. The best part about this plan is that no one knows. Like, you just walk out and like, fuck, like, I'll let the guards deal with this. I'm out of here. I got a job.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, oh, this is not in my jurisdiction. I'm just like a banker.
Yeah, I'm an accountant. The most normal human job.
You'll notice I just sent you a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook. Didn't take more than about 2 minutes there to find a way to safely handy any and all explosives on the internet.
Cool. Now we're all on watch lists, even more than we were when we were talking about animal sex. At that point, it's time to move to a new section.
I think mostly Mikhail was on the animal sex watch list.
We listened. We listened with glee and horror.
We did.
You were
implicit. Yes, we were.
Okay. Just like any good cooking show, let's go over the actual instructions now that we've discussed it. So, first, you would morph the Yeerk. Then you infest your host who's on your side. You would then drop into the pool like normal. And then the host has to have a Ziploc or a sandwich bag big enough to fit a Yeerk into drop it into the pool without being seen. So obviously during the freak out session when
and it doesn't even have to be that big of a freak out. Like you can just kind of like jerk a little bit. Like, oh, I'm in control of my limbs finally.
Then you get back to the cages where your host body plants a timed distraction. I think the bomb thing is possible. I think Brayden, it seems more possible in Brayden's mind, but...
And I also have a gun and a sword made of light.
The distraction goes off while you're in the pool. Now, meanwhile, you, or Cassie, or whoever, the main person, is in the pool, swims down deep enough to demorph and remorph as a Yeerk, which we don't have to remorph as a Yeerk.
Not yet.
We just... Wait, we missed a part.
No, you have to...
How does Cassie get out?
So you demorph under the pier like she did, and you can stick your nose above water so that you can like breathe a little bit. No one sees you, and you bust open Aftran from the cage, and then you put Aftran in the little bag, tie it up, and then you remorph the Yeerk, and then when your host comes back, you bloop up into his ear.
Oh, right, of course, that makes perfect sense. And then... hopefully you've timed it well enough that the distraction goes off while you are still on the pier, inside your host body. The guards, whether they leave you or are just distracted, maybe you can overact some of your fear, whatever. You lean down and grab the bag, which hopefully, like, I guess you would have to secure it with the cage line or something so that you could grab it.
I feel like the Yeerk, how I'm picturing the Yeerk Pool liquid is almost almost like a runny jello. Like it's really thick and like you can move through it, but also things float on top of it that normally wouldn't float on top of water.
I do like the description of a runny jello.
You ever seen Jello run, kid?
You better catch up with it.
You guys are so funny. Oh my god.
But basically, that's it. Like, you pick the Ziploc bag up, you're like, I need to fuck off, I'm busy. You leave the pool, the Gleep biofilter lets you go, because all you have is Yeerks and humans.
You're good.
And that's it. You're good to go. I think that is better.
We're getting there.
Especially because there's no, like...
Well, then also, you're not a bird in a McDonald's.
Right, and there's nobody shooting at you, which is a huge difference. Right? Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Are you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we ER'd the crap out of that Animorph.
Sexually satisfied.
Brayden, you're always sexually satisfied.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never sexually satisfied. I think that's his whole MO.
Actually, yeah, you're both and neither.
I am a man of contradictions.
Our next segment is called
Everyday Animorphs.
Everyday now.
In the segment, we try to tackle an everyday situation that happened in the book we just read. All the normal quote-unquote rules of morphing apply, both the technological rules and the moral rules, so no morphing humans. And the situation we had picked out this week is, how would you use morphing to get what you want out of a junior high school dance? Now, here are the caveats. No morphing people, obviously, I said that. You are yourself in junior high. Now, Tessa, I know you didn't go to junior high, so just imagine.
I mean, I did go to high school, and I went to one high school dance, so I can draw from that experience.
You can't hurt anyone physically, so you can't kill people.
Oh, well, I can't draw from my experience then. I'm not allowed to kill people?
You can hurt people emotionally. You can't reveal that you can morph, which is definitely a rule that the Animorphs have.
Yo, what up, girl? You want to get fucked by a dog?
Maybe just to keep it kosher, let's say consent is also a rule. Just saying.
Just to keep it kosher.
Normally we wouldn't. Consent,
bother. So you don't want to see the links, the fucking Tor links that Brayden's been sending me lately about buying people on the internet.
Pre-wrapped.
Ugh.
Can I tell you about my horrible grade 10 experience of being at a Much Music dance?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
So it was...
yeah, I guess. I don't know, maybe. I don't fucking... What do I know?
It was an event where they brought like these pop-up screens and projected Much Music videos of the different songs that we were listening to. And I went to one of these. They happened 2 or 3 times a year, I think. And the college gym would get booked up And as it's not really a walk from my house, I think I got dropped off with a friend of mine. So I was like, I'm going to go to one of these dances. And it was just like, it was very loud and it was full of people. And the person I was with forced me to dance with the exchange student that we had from the Ukraine who didn't speak a lot of English.
Oh, buddy.
And he's a fine person, but like, she made us dance during a slow song, like for slow dancing. And neither one of us was romantically interested in the other at all. And we had barely talked before. So it was incredibly awkward, and I think after about 15 seconds, I said, I need to use the bathroom.
Oh.
And I remember getting my, like, I went there, and I was enjoying it, and I saw the people, and I had the experience, and then I was like, all right, it's time to go. And I checked my watch, and I'd been there for maybe 15 minutes. And this was, like, at least a good hour and a half event.
So how would you have used morphing?
Oh, man, I would have been like, you know what, I'm done. And then I would have hidden off, like snuck off to a quiet place that no one could see me, maybe even in the bathroom, and like morphed a dog and just run home.
Just leave.
Just like, peace, Irish goodbye. Don't say goodbye to anyone.
What would happen the next day when you are confronted by the Ukrainian kid and he's like, what's a Ukrainian accent? Brayden, you be the kid.
A dog. A big dog. Hello.
What the fuck? He's not like handicapped. He's got, you know.
Jesus.
He's got a full mental capacity. He's just got an accent.
Hello, the Tessa. I did not see you at the dance last night. Of course, I dropped quite a bit of acid, so maybe we did hang out for quite a while.
Is this Ukrainian or Texan? I don't know.
Why don't you regale me with your tales? Hello.
I don't think people from the Eastern Bloc are just like, all the time.
Yeah, like that's so like the guy in the IKEA commercials.
Yeah, what? Didn't you...
Like...
Sorry, I thought this was a story about how you fucked the IKEA guy.
No! Haven't you listened to any episode of this podcast? I don't have sex.
It would be pretty funny if the guy confronts Tessa the next day and she's like looking him in the face and he's like, where'd you go, huh? Like, I waited so long for you. And she looks at him and just like runs to the bathroom and morphs the dog and runs home.
That's just my way of getting out of awkward situations. No, because see, we didn't go together. Like, this was not something that had been planned. Maybe it had from, like, the person that I was with. I don't know if she did it behind my back. But, like, as far as I knew, there was no plan. So if I left early, because the slow dancing happened maybe half an hour in, so if I left after only 15 minutes, there would have been no slow dance encounter with the exchange student that I would have had to worry about.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So you hate foreign people, huh?
I do. I'm very xenophobic, but it only started after I met Brayden. Because he's from Venezuela.
I went through a ritual to get rid of all my racism and xenophobia. I just physically pushed it out of my body, and I guess it landed on you.
I guess so. I think that's how STDs work also.
It's called a xenenema. That's not good. That's not a thing.
Somebody else talk about their terrible junior high experience.
When I was in junior high and high school, I didn't go to a lot of dances. There weren't actually that many dances. I don't know what it was. Just for whatever reason, there was only like 4 or 5 dances my whole time in secondary. But I remember the ones that I went to, I didn't really dance that much because I'm not a good dancer, which is funny because I play music and have for a long time, but I just have like fucking no rhythm at all.
No, yeah, same. It's like, it's an entirely different skill, yeah. Like, I don't play or sing as much music as I used to, but yeah, they are not easily translatable.
They're not,
skills.
But I always thought as a kid, like, well, if I want to be a good musician, I should be able to dance. Now, I know that's a weird false equivalency, but eventually it was just like, I just want to be a good dancer. But I never made any effort to do it, right? But here's the thing. I never had the ability to morph.
Oh.
Because my dream is to just like show up at Obviously not anymore, but at the time.
Your Gregorian 38-year-old self. I don't know how old you are.
Yeah, I am 38.
You're either 38 or 48 or 58, I feel like.
It's one of those.
I wanted to just like show up and be like, oh, it's just Mikhail, whatever. Okay. And then just blast people's asses with how good I was at dancing. And like fucking no one would expect it. But the ways to do that would be to actually practice dancing, right? Which I don't want to do. So I would morph a cat and like get high on confidence and agility like Rachel does in number 2.
Yes.
Where she's just like, I can do fucking anything. The other thing I would do is morph like a stealth insect morph and like watch dancing classes a lot.
Yes.
And just like, okay, what are the like basic things you need to know how to like start dancing, right? So that's the technical part.
Yeah, I guess it is the 90s and YouTube isn't there to teach you how to dance.
Exactly.
No one's there to teach you how to Dougie.
Yes, thank you, Tessa.
We gotta do it once per episode. We're contractually obligated.
It's how to Dougie. How to Dougie.
Right before the dance, I would then morph a dog and then also get high on like how happy dogs are, because I feel like confidence is one thing, but also just being unadulterated like happiness is also pretty useful.
God,
for confidence.
I haven't felt unadulterated happiness since I slept in and woke up to chocolate chip pancakes in bed earlier today.
Wow. Okay. We know your boyfriend cooks. Fuck. Jesus.
I didn't say it was my boyfriend. Don't let the Yeerks know.
Okay, Braden, what would you do?
I would have used it to morph a mosquito and give this kid named Austin West Nile virus.
You can't hurt people physically. That's a rule.
I mean, I'm not. I'm giving him a poke, and some viruses are being left behind, and then he's fucking dying. Who cares?
I like the idea that junior high Braden had access to like high level CDC West Nile like samples that he could just like pull up at any time and infect a mosquito with.
It's not hard to get a mosquito with West Nile virus.
What do you mean it's not hard? Do it then.
Okay, but like, if you acquire a mosquito that you know has West Nile virus, you're not going to get the West Nile when you morph that mosquito.
No, you're not.
You're just going to get mosquito.
Okay, I will have to find some West Nile virus then.
They never talked about this, but like, if you morph like 2 different mosquitoes, they must have different DNA, right?
Well, you can't morph 2 different mosquitoes
at the same time. But I'm just saying, like, how do you focus on the mosquito that you want to morph?
I don't think it matters to the Animorphs. I think a mosquito is a mosquito. They just acquired the one and they're good.
Yeah, they're real, 2-pump chumps.
They're not trying to catch them all.
All right.
You know what you could do that I was thinking about today?
I tried.
You could like partially, like, wouldn't it make sense if you were you were in like cockroach morph and you wanted to demorph a little bit, but then also remorph into your bird morph? What if you demorph and your feet become unmorphed first, so you start morphing those into bird while the rest of you demorphs cockroach?
I don't think you can do that. Because it has to do with Z-space,
It has to do with Z-space, but what if you wait? Because you can't go directly from, like, cockroach to bird, except unless you're sick, like Rachel in book 12. But, like, what if you start and pause? Shouldn't that work? I don't know. What if it
was, so the problem is that Z-space transmorphifies on the sub-isolated DNA levels.
So bored as soon as you start talking about Z-space.
You've got velocity and mass
affecting
your specific gravity. Absolute relative gravity is, it's just not the same thing. Okay, anyways. Shall we move on? So Braden's answer is, fuck the rules, I'm killing people.
Yeah, at least one.
Okay.
Braden just can't stop.
I got a lust for blood, and I need to satisfy it.
What? Next segment. My Life, My Morph. In this segment, we decide on what the best use of the main morph in this book would be in our own lives. Throwaway, since we're not going to do the Yeerk. We're going to do eel, but let's just say one, you have to answer, you can only say one name and that's it. No sentence, just who would you infest if you had access to anyone in the world? Tessa.
Don't start with me. I don't want to infest anybody.
Okay, Braden.
Shinzo Abe, President of Japan. Prime Minister of Japan?
I would infest Austin. Just like,
he's dead.
Go crazy.
He's dead in our canon universe.
No. Yeah, in Dork-Bajir canon, Brayden's childhood bully has been dead for years. All right. How would you guys use an eel?
I found one for the Yeerk. I'd do Jeff Bezos, and I'd spend all of his money getting rid of student loan debt and fixing, like, infrastructure in not just the States, but also Canada and maybe bits of Mexico.
A robot over here. All right, that's fine. That seems like you would never actually do that, but I appreciate trying to look cool for the audience.
You know, one of us has to, you
has
guys.
to try. Let's be clear on that.
Pachonka.
I would use an eel to... I got a couple here. I think the one that stands out the most to me is scaring people out of a public beach so that me and my bros can go swimming, just bro style.
What?
Like you're hanging out in the shallows, just being like, check me out, check me out. All the kids are like, fuck this. All the women and constitutionally unsound men are freaking out.
I mean, you're gonna run into one, like, weirdo who just wants to cut off your fucking head.
Yeah, but I'm fucking fast as lightning.
Also, you're an eel that's small enough to fit in a sewer pipe, like all of the pipes in the city. Like, you're not gonna be very scary. And also, I take offense at thinking that all of the women and only some of the men would be scared. Come on. Just say, how about the people who are scared of eels will leave, which is maybe 2 people, and then everybody else will stay on the beach.
Yeah, but also all my bros are super scared of eels. Well, at least it appears that way as they scare people off the beach, pointing at me, screaming about an eel.
There's a 6-inch long, 1-inch wide eel in the water. Everybody run.
And then fucking Janice in the back is like, what are you talking about? My husband's right here.
Janice, you card, always trying to be the comedian.
Yup.
Damn it,
fucking
Janice.
All right, Brayden, what would you do?
I'm gonna use that eel to just get around town faster. Like I said in the recording, like, if you just find a common body of water with a pipe attached to it, you would just, like, be able to swing around sewers and pipes and just go wherever the fuck you want.
But wouldn't you end up, like, 90% of the time somewhere that you had no idea?
I mean, you can find maps, blueprints. That shit's public record, right?
Okay. The confidence, I like it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You'd be fighting water pressure. I don't know.
Not necessarily.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Most places are not fed by a water tower.
Fair.
Most places are fed by capitalism. Tessa, what's your answer?
Topical zing. I was waiting for you guys to be quiet. I'm trying a new thing as we go into the new year here, and I'm like, turning over a new leaf. Let's not interrupt everybody so much. That probably didn't work because I interrupt people a whole lot at the beginning of this episode. Anyway, this is a recent decision that I've made. As we know from the last Speaking Tree episode, if you morph a cow and you ejaculate, or a bull, you ejaculate all this bull semen, it's still going to exist. So what I would do is turn into an eel and just make a bunch of eel slime, and like those hagfish eels, just make a whole bunch of slime, and then sell it to scientists because they can't get enough of that shit.
Wasn't the plan with the cow cum was also to sell it to scientists?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or not scientists, farmers, ranchers.
We are single-handedly renewing the science industry.
Dogs love science, but cats don't. Brayden, our last segment of the show.
Predictions!
Predictions!
So next week we're going to be talking about Animorphs number 30, the reunion. It's a Marco book with him, looks like he's taking a shit on the floor and then he's morphing into a cockroach. The cover says, as the subtitle, Marco must make the ultimate sacrifice.
So, ultimate sacrifice. Well, he obviously has gotten rid of more hair since the last Marco book. So, I think, yeah, fuck. This kid is suffering. And, you know what? This is probably the best. The third morph in this is amazing. Amazing. Yeah, okay. Marco makes an ultimate sacrifice. He gets a new hairdo. I think Marco is going to get a chance to save his mom, but goes it alone because it's dangerous, or the other Animorphs just straight up refuse because it's dangerous.
Tessa, where can you find more of our stuff?
You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or else I'll shove that middle morph on book 29 right up your ass.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
You can also show your support for our show by subscribing to our Patreon page. Patreon.com/DORKBAJIR Dork-Bajir.
We offer special bonuses for patrons, like access to our Discord server, Animorphs essays written by us, and much, much more.
We like to give a shout out to our patrons at the Dork-Bajir level or higher by giving them an Animorphs style title.
And they fucking love it, the little sluts.
Big thank you to Steam Driven: the Human Eel.
Shanna: the Banana.
Greg De La Posta: the Assumption.
Andrew Vila: the Mistake.
Mariah Wamby: my junior high date. For the Fanimorphs, my name is Mikhail the Footloose.
I'm Tessa the Sexpert.
And I'm Braden, the host. I fucking got it! Snapped it out from under him. Taking it home, baby. And I ain't giving this trophy to nobody.
So anyways, the posting schedule is going to be every week, and you're going to have to edit everything, and there's a lot of social management.
And this has been Fanimail.
No!
The Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
And then I get your wife and baby now, right?
Will you let me visit my biological son at least?
No, he's my biological son now.
Oh, what the fuck? He's not your biological son.
Yes, he is. I stole the host part.
Are you tired of sitting in silence, staring at walls?
Do your ears yearn for something more than the sound of your life passing you by?
Try Inadmissible, a podcast designed by a leading team of experts in the field of excitementology and non-boringness.
On Inadmissible, you'll hear Quinn and Mikhail, two of our bleeding-edge analysts, break down and rebuild the worst ads you've ever had the misfortune to experience.
Listen in as they tear apart lackluster emotional tactics.
Gather round as they explain why you shouldn't make your product look like a steaming pile of garbage.
Poop jokes.
All this and more on Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible advertising. For more details, visit collectivelegacy.org.
Inadmissible should not be consumed if you are easily offended or your tolerance for immaturity is lower than that of a 6-year-old child. Inadmissible may cause fits of laughter so intense your lungs may suffer from burst blood vessels. Consult your doctor before listening to Inadmissible.
Inadmissible, a podcast about terrible ads. Brought to you by
Collective Legacy,
a podcast network.